For today's entry in my Best of 2025 series, we're going to horror. And yes, I recorded the horror and the cozy entries back to back for some continuity for you. But we have some amazing, scary, horrific, and fun games to talk about for today. As I said in the opening of the series, Silent Hill F is unfortunately not going to be on my Best of Horror for this year. Nevertheless, we had some amazing and original takes on horror, as well as some really solid homages to some older games. And the first one is such an homage with Heartworm. This is an homage to the original Silent Hills, complete with very challenging and confusing puzzles, tank-like controls, and trying to figure out just where the heck you are. Well, the game itself doesn't do anything like above and beyond for the genre, especially like some of the other examples we're going to be talking about today. It's just a very solid entry and well executed take. So, if you played Silent Hill F or the remake and looking for a more classic take on wandering around aimlessly in a mysterious town while things are trying to kill you, then be sure to give this one a play. A more recent take, or I should say quote-unquote recent take on the horror format is the kind of like old interacting with technology side of things. And our next pick goes to a No Players Online. A game about you playing a game that may be trying to kill you at the same time. You are trying to explore a mysterious computer that you found and discover that the creator has done some very unusual things, such as create a program that allows you to make demonic ritual sacrifices, which I'm pretty sure every game developer has used at some point in their career. This is a kind of somewhat short form game, depending upon how quickly you pick up on the rules and the solutions to the different puzzles, but another really great example of taking a premise and running as far with it as you can. Great use of kind of like the classic art and, you know, old school programming and like Windows like 3.1 style of desktops to get some very unusual reactions out of you. It's a game that you're never quite sure where it's going to go until the very end, and even after it's over, there are people discovering a whole ARG on top of this game. Who knows, by the time you're watching this video, maybe they've cracked some additional code and there's even more to it. So for the old school fans, both in terms of FPSs and using computers, this one is another easy recommendation. For my last two picks for horror, both are homages to classic designs, but doing their own unique spin on them and coming out amazingly well with it. The first one goes to Labyrinth of the Demon King. This is a King's Field-like mixing with a bit of a Souls-like, all with some samurai Japanese mythology theme and charm to it, as you explore a decrepit castle full of all manner of demons, monsters, and more. And it's up to you to hack and slash your way through the place. This one, despite the look and feel of it, is unusually on the easier side, thanks to the fact that you have instant revives, and you're never really going to be penalized too far for it. But this game definitely pays homage to the King's Field style, as you have to explore this place and try to figure out what is the next puzzle you're trying to achieve. Following the release of it, the developer did put out a New Game Plus mode, adding in new enemies, new encounters, and many things, of course, noticeably more challenging. I did not get a chance to play it, however, and at some point we may want to go back and look at it. So another really great homage to kind of like the grittiness of horror, but with some modern flourishes and a lot of kicking you'll be doing as well. So you did miss out on this one, and if you are fans of the King's Field style of combat, but in a more spookier and scarier setting, then definitely give this one a play. And for my last pick for horror, this is not only one of my favorite horror games of 2025, but probably one of my favorite horror games of this decade. And it goes to Total Chaos, a spiritual successor to the close-range, just knockdown brawl style of Condemned Criminal Origins. But we're not going to be solving murders here. We are trying to solve the mysteries of our own psyche on a decrepit island full of all manner of strange monsters, some beautifully disgusting visuals, and some really impressive set pieces. The game is both a survival horror and just a plain survival title, as you must manage your vitals as well as your resources. This is one of the few games that features weapon durability that I'm kind of for in this setting, as you'll need to figure out which weapons you want to keep, which ones you want to break down, and which ones you just want to throw at an enemy to try and stagger them. With the combat system, this is one of my favorite I've seen in just about any horror game in a very long time. While the player is given a lot of tools and is powerful in their own right, you can attack in melee, you have range, you have the ability to counter and block enemies. Each one of the enemies can also respond accordingly. They are very unpredictable, and it makes it one of my favorite takes because it kind of straddles that line between the player is powerful and they can take on any enemy, but the enemies can still put up a resistance to you. You are not just fighting, basic zombies or something that will just walk very slowly at you and do nothing else. One of the enemies will actually throw stuff at you. Another one will do something that just completely took me by surprise. I'm not spoiling here or in my review. And this is again on top of you having to balance your resources. There are multiple endings, which the kind of criteria for the true ending is probably my one big flaw or my one big complaint about the game, because it is very obtuse and you are not going to figure that one out on your own unless you have again some kind of super psychic powers. But when it comes to horror design, I've always been a huge supporter of making combat feel very visceral and making it something that the player doesn't really want to do despite how enjoyable it can be. And that is what Total Chaos does in a nutshell. That every fight is going to drain your resources, but it's still going to feel very responsive and very fluid to bash an enemy, throw a Molotov, or just run away and quickly try and get a heal off before you get surrounded by something else. When it comes to survival horror, or kind of evolving survival horror, this is the style that I really want to see more developers take inspiration from. It avoids kind of the action horror side that we've seen more modern day survival horror games or franchises have done. Of course, namely Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Where in those games, it felt like they're still putting too much emphasis on give yourself a whole lot of powerful weapon and just tear through mobs of enemies. In Total Chaos, like with any good horror game, just fighting one enemy is a challenge. Fighting two is an ordeal. 3 or more and they surround you, it's a death sentence. And the developer, their first game that they released was the amazingly over-the-top Total Overkill, and then they went to horror. Maybe their next game will be the super high-octane rush of city building. But if you did miss out on Total Chaos, and if you are a fan of Condemn or just melee combat in horror, then you really need to play this one. So what are your favorite horror games of 2025? And are there any other big ones you're looking forward to in 2026? By the time this video goes up, maybe we'll have Resident Evil 9 out that we'll be taking a look at here on the channel. And with that, another entry comes to an end. So I think it's time for another supersized one. And my goodness, I'm checking my list and there are a whole lot more to talk about. But come back for our next entry and for more of my favorite games of 2025. Thanks for watching, and a special thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you enjoyed the video, do the YouTubing stuff, be sure to visit our Discord and Patreon, and you're interested in more in my thoughts on design, check out my game design books.